How's it going, everybody? I'm Seth Macy, and this is The Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is finally here. Finally, yes. And this week, we've got everything you need to know about the game's record-breaking launch, details on a possible Venom spin-off, yes please, and a PlayStation 5 Slim bundle. But Spider-Man wasn't the only thing making headlines this week. We've also got to break down on yet another Netflix price hike, the latest on the Fallout TV show, and much more. So let's get to it.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is enjoying huge success, becoming the fastest-selling PlayStation Studios game over a single day period. Now, according to a press release from Sony, Insomniac's PlayStation 5 exclusive sold more than 2.5 million copies in 24 hours. Now, that figure includes pre-order sales of individual units and units bundled with PS5. Now, the milestone means Spider-Man 2 has overtaken Santa Monica Studios' God of War Ragnarok at the top of the PlayStation Day 1 launch sales chart. It remains to be seen whether or not Spider-Man 2 can beat God of War Ragnarok's debut week sales of 5.1 million copies. Now, Ragnarok launched in November last year on PlayStation 4 as well as PS5. Now, Spider-Man 2 is a PS5 exclusive, meaning it has a way smaller install base than Ragnarok did last year. And with all due respect to Kratos, it probably doesn't hurt that Spider-Man is one of the most iconic characters in the last century, or that the game's T rating makes it suitable for younger players. The sequel is a key launch for PlayStation. Sony hopes sales of the game will spark a boost for the PS5 itself, which is required to play. Now, in August, Sony insisted sales of its console could pick up in order to hit its record-breaking target of 25 million PS5 sold for this financial year. Another release that could help with PS5 sales is the Spider-Man 2 PS5 Slim bundle, rumored to be launching on November 8th. Now, moving on, Star Citizen developer Cloud Imperium Games has said the campaign portion of its controversial space sim is finally feature complete over a decade after it was announced. Squadron 42 was part of the original Star Citizen Kickstarter campaign launched in 2012 before it was split off from the main game to become a standalone story campaign. It suffered multiple delays and long periods of silence. In 2015, Cloud Imperium Games announced a long list of Hollywood stars had joined its cast, including Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman, and Gillian Anderson. Flashy cinematic trailers were released showing off the cast in action, with other cast members such as Andy Serkis, Ben Mendelsohn, and John Rhys-Davies involved with the spiritual successor to the Wing Commander series. Now, 11 years later, it looks like the finish line for Squadron 42 may be in sight, although Cloud Imperium Games stopped short of announcing a release window. Our work towards beta and release is now underway. A new trailer showcasing Squadron 42 has been released, which you're seeing right here. Check it out, it looks nice. Now, in a statement, the developer said, quote, "We are excited to announce that Squadron 42 is now feature complete. As we move into the polishing phase, we're fully focused on optimizing and fine-tuning all aspects of the gameplay experience to deliver an unprecedented cinematic adventure. To celebrate this milestone, we have gathered our core development leadership from around the globe to share what this means. Thank you for your continued support of Squadron 42. The Star Citizen is one of the more controversial projects in gaming history. At the timing of this taping, the project has crowdfunded over $600 million from just over 4.8 million accounts, which the developer displays on their website. Its virtual spaceships, some of which cost hundreds of dollars, are the source of some of this income, but also the focus of much of its criticism. Now, despite the studio's deep pockets, after more than a decade in development, Star Citizen hasn't had a proper launch. Now, with all that said, it's nice to hear some progress has been made on the single-player campaign. And when it gets a release window, well, we'll let you know.
Bethesda's former design director has said the developer thought it was infallible ahead of Fallout 76's disastrous launch. Bruce Nesmith, who was a quest designer on Fallout 76 and Fallouts 3 and 4, as well as lead designer on The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim and senior designer on Starfield before leaving Bethesda in 2021, told MinMax the studio's own hubris caught up with it. The developer had been on a hot streak, releasing The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, followed by Fallout 3, Skyrim, and Fallout 4, but Fallout 76 arrived in 2018 as the studio's first foray into multiplayer and launched to scathing reviews. The rich wasteland map of Fallout 76 is wasted on a mess of bugs, conflicting ideas, and monotony, IGN said at the time. Fallout 76 was one that I definitely struggled to warm up to, Nesmith said. I think the company's aim was not as focused as it probably should have been, and you can see the results of that in the way it entered into the marketplace. To a certain extent, our own hubris caught up with us. We had had so many, not just successes, but literal Game of the Years, industry-wide accepted Game of the Years, not just in our own heads or in these two little magazines over there, but everybody is saying this is the Game of the Year. We started to talk ourselves into the fact we were infallible. There was nothing we couldn't do, and clearly, that's wrong. Nesmith said it was the players asking for a multiplayer game that led Bethesda director and executive producer Todd Howard and the team to create Fallout 76 over any influence from executives. Having not developed a multiplayer game before, Nesmith said the team didn't realize how different the process would be. He said, "It was like, it's going to be the same Fallout, all we have to do is add multiplayer." And with those words, we started down a path that was not as successful as we had before, because it's not just adding multiplayer. Turns out it was adding so much more. Fallout 76 has undergone somewhat of a resurgence since then, however, as Bethesda continued to support the game with regular updates and expansions. As for the next single-player Fallout game, fans will be waiting a while. Howard has confirmed Fallout 5 won't arrive until after The Elder Scrolls 6, which isn't due until 2028 at the earliest. That development timeline would place Fallout 5 as launching in the early to mid-2030s. Moving on, now that Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 is out, players are learning more about what is and isn't on the physical versions. And in the case of the Nintendo Switch, fans have realized not all the games are on the cartridge. According to Redditor Scars1023, the Nintendo Switch cart includes the following games only: Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, both for the MSX, and Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge, both for the NES. So, just the 8-bit games, which probably takes up a couple hundred kilobytes on the cartridge. That means the Metal Gear Solids 1, 2, and 3 must be downloaded. The back of the Nintendo Switch box confirms the game requires a download of at least 32 gigs and a micro SD card is required. In a note sent to IGN, Konami said, "The cartridge or digital install size for the Nintendo Switch is reflective of the included bonus content. Players can choose which title they wish to install first once they have downloaded it onto their gaming platforms." As you'd expect, some Nintendo Switch owners have criticized Konami for the decision. Some pointed out that CD Projekt managed to put the entirety of The Witcher 3, along with its expansions and DLC, on its Switch cartridge. This week, IGN reported on a number of issues with the collection that Konami said it would address in post-launch updates. The most worrying affects Metal Gear Solid 2, which Konami warned may significantly slow down in certain cutscenes. A patch to reduce processing load is planned. PC players should know Metal Gear Solid 1 requires a controller in order to play. Playing with a keyboard and mouse isn't supported. The collection has also faced criticism for locking Metal Gear Solid 1 to 30 frames per second. Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 are also apparently locked to a 720p internal resolution, despite the fact Konami advertises both games as outputting at 1080p. Looking to the future, there is the full remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 on the way, and there's a reimagining of the original Contra coming from WayForward. It's coming soon.
Spider-Man 2 just released, but Insomniac Games is already talking about potential future titles, specifically a game revolving our favorite symbiote. Speaking to Insider, senior narrative director John Paquette said the team wants to see how fans react to the sequel before making any decisions. When asked about a potential Venom spin-off, Paquette said, "We're focused on Spider-Man 2, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait to see how the fans react. We're gonna listen to the fans, and we're gonna ask ourselves, okay, what do the fans really want? We'll kind of talk about stuff after we've had time to sleep and take vacations." Paquette also went on to say he was confident fans would enjoy the Venom elements in Spider-Man 2. "I want this to be one of the best Venom stories you've ever experienced." Insomniac is definitely not against spin-offs. I mean, we saw Spider-Man Miles Morales after the release of the original Spider-Man. It was a smaller sequel with similar gameplay, but still told Miles' story beautifully even with the condensed content. I actually personally liked this game way more than the first Spider-Man. So, like Paquette said, a Venom game isn't out of the question, but Insomniac's focus right now is definitely on supporting Spider-Man 2. And remember, New Game Plus mode is being added later this year. Insomniac is also working on Wolverine, but we haven't gotten more details on that since the announcement trailer in 2021. But either way, I think we all just want more Insomniac games made. Alright, shifting really hard from a good game to a really bad one. Remember that one King Kong game that came out this week? The one the internet absolutely dunked on? Well, apparently it only had a year in development, which I guess doesn't sound so surprising. Skull Island Rise of Kong immediately drew attention with how bad it was. What could have contributed to the poor quality was that the publisher, Game Mill Entertainment, only gave the developers Iguana Bee a year to create the game from scratch. Speaking with The Verge, a developer at Iguana Bee said the development process of this game was started in June of last year, and it was aimed to end on June 2nd this year. Iguanabee is an indie developer that has worked on several other games, most known for Little League World Series Baseball 2022. Little League was also only given a year for development from GameMill. Looking into the publisher's background, they seem to have a history of contracting smaller developers to make licensed games in less than enough time to make an actual quality game. GameMill apparently also had funding issues. A dev at Iguanabee recalled, "I remember very well that they let go of a colleague who had been there longer than me. Deep down, I knew it was because the publisher didn't provide them with enough funding to maintain a certain number of people for an extended period." It's so unfortunate that the developers are getting so much flack for this game when they were just trying their best with the limited time and resources given. Most of the developers who spoke about their issue with GameMill remained anonymous, afraid that the publisher would stop contracting them. One of the developers said, "It's a love-hate relationship because they are the ones who accept or give the projects, and Iguanabee doesn't have the means to develop almost anything on its own because, well, money." But despite all the negative attention from Skull Island on social media, the developers expressed that they were proud of what they were able to do, especially with all of the challenges they faced. One of Iguanabee's developers posted on X saying, "We did what we could and we had a great time developing it. Proud of our monkey."
Okay, it's just about time for a break, but when we come back, we're taking a closer look at the upcoming PlayStation 5 Slim, its leaked special edition, and a whole lot more, so stay tuned. And we are back. We are about to get into everything you need to know about that new Fallout TV show from Prime Video and how Netflix is raising their prices again. Big surprise, I know. But before that, let's take a look at the latest PlayStation 5 Slim and its first special, not so special bundle. Take it away.
The reliable leaker behind early PlayStation Plus lineup reveals has reported a PlayStation 5 Slim release date for the US, as well as what appears to be its first bundle. Bill Kuhn, reporting on French website Deal Labs, said the PS5 Slim Standard Edition bundle with Insomniac Spider-Man 2 launches in the US on November 8th, priced at $560. That's the same price as the current Standard Edition PS5 with Spider-Man 2. They also mentioned a release date of November 10th for the standard and digital versions of the PS5 Slim in the US, so perhaps there will be a staggered release throughout that week, with the bundle going live ahead of the new console's standalone launch. In addition to being 30% smaller physically, the updated PS5 model comes with 1TB storage, up from 825 gigs in the launch versions. The new model also provides the option to add an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive to the PS5 Digital Edition. Sony revealed the PS5 Slim with a November release window, but didn't provide an exact date and still hasn't, so consider these release dates rumor for now until we get official word from Sony. Moving on, Konami is finally adding the ability to pause cutscenes to the original 3 Metal Gear Solid games when the Master Collection launches October 24th, but there's a strange catch. It apparently takes 10 seconds. As reported by MP First, YouTuber Irreducible86SS somehow got their hands on an early copy of the game and streamed it. They showed off the new feature, revealing that pressing the pause button during a cutscene does stop the game, but only 10 seconds later does the actual pause menu appear. There's a chance this is just a mistake or bug and not intended by Konami, and may be addressed in an update, of course, perhaps even before the Master Collection comes out, or it could be resolved with a Day 1 patch. The ability to pause cutscenes has long been requested by Metal Gear Solid fans. The series is known, perhaps infamously, for its lengthy cutscenes. The games featured in the Master Collection, Metal Gear 1 and 2, and Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, aren't the worst offenders though, with Metal Gear Solid 4 actually holding the record for the longest video game cutscene at 71 minutes. Announced alongside the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, the Master Collection Volume 1 is coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, and PC on October 24th. And finally today, the PlayStation 5 version of co-op survival crafting RPG The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria has been delayed, just days before it was supposed to launch. The PS5 version now launches both digitally and physically on December 5th. Return to Moria will be released as planned on PC as an Epic Game Store exclusive on October 24th. An Xbox Series X and S version is planned for early 2024. The developers said they were using the extra time to improve various aspects of the PS5 version and apologized to fans for the delay. Return to Moria is set in the 4th age of J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy world of Middle-earth, 70 years after the destruction of the ring. It puts players in the shoes of a company of dwarves led by Gimli Lockbearer as they explore the depths of Khazad-dûm. It has a heavy emphasis on crafting and exploration and will feature 8-player co-op on PC and 4-player co-op on PS5 at launch. It will also see John Rhys-Davies, who voiced Gimli in Peter Jackson's movie adaptations, return to reprise his role as the iconic Son of Gloin. The game looks cool, but we'll find out for sure next week when IGN's review goes live.
Now, Netflix is back at it again, this time raising subscription prices for its premium tier. Now, that means if you have the premium subscription plan, you'll now be paying $23 a month in the US, with the lowest price ad-free subscription plan being $12 a month. Now, that brings both to a $2 increase from its previous monthly amounts. Now, this is Netflix's latest efforts to increase its revenue after seeing record numbers in subscriptions after cracking down on password sharing, leading many previous freeloading users to convert to their own separate paying accounts. Users now have the option to pay an extra $7.99 to share an account with someone outside of their primary household. Now, you may remember we reported a while back that it was rumored that the streaming giant would hike up the price of its ad-free plans months after SAG-AFTRA strikes a deal with Hollywood. And while those rumors might still be true, it appears that Netflix isn't waiting for Hollywood to figure out a deal to end the ongoing actors' strike. Now, as for its lower priced option, Netflix subscribers can expect to take advantage of it, which also means you'll be subjected to ads throughout your viewing experience. Now, the ad tier on Netflix was introduced about a year ago, but hasn't seen much profit for the streaming giant just yet. But as it continues to increase prices for its ad-free services, some users might opt out of the more expensive offerings and take advantage of the far less expensive advertising tier. And this could be Netflix's ultimate plan. But all this inflation of streaming subscription prices will likely dissuade a lot of current users, potentially leading to a handful of people simply canceling their subscription. And honestly, you can't really blame anyone for doing so, as these increases are becoming far too often. Now, let us know your thoughts on what you plan on doing as Netflix continues to inflate its subscription tiers. Now, there's got to be a grand line in the sand, otherwise there will be a lot more pirates searching for one peace of mind when it comes to streaming. And no, I ain't talking about the live-action series One Piece. You know what I mean. Now, in other news, Deadpool 3 might be missing its May 3rd, 2024 release date. Now, this according to an exclusive from Deadline, where sources have told the outlet, given the ongoing actor strike, the Ryan Reynolds-led Marvel movie will likely miss its upcoming release date. Now, while the film is supposedly half finished regarding production, there's still a lot to do in regards to reassembling the production team to wrap up filming. So while there's no official word from Marvel Studios, if these sources are correct regarding Deadpool 3, it'll likely be pushed back to later on in the year. Now, Disney is notorious for shuffling its release dates, pushing films back from one date to another. For example, Captain America: Brave New World was initially slated to release May 3rd, 2024, but was pushed back to July 26th, with Deadpool 3 taking that May 2024 slot. Now, if these reports are true, who knows when and where the Merc with a Mouth will land on the MCU 2024 release slate. And for all the fans of Sheikh Zula, Frylock, and Meatwad, get ready for the triumphant return of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's right, they're back, baby. After 8 years of not being on television, it was an 8-year hiatus, returning just last year with a feature film. The longest running Adult Swim animated series returns for its 12th season, giving us 5 new episodes set to premiere November 26th, just in time for Thanksgiving. That makes you wonder if Turkatron will make an appearance in the season premiere.
You have got to be frickin' kidding me.
What are you eating?
This is your great, your mother.
I can't wait to see these crazy dudes pop back up on the television doing all kinds of weird stuff come November 26th, man. I can't wait to hear Dana Snyder talking like this. This is how he talks, because he plays the shake and he just talks like this. It's gotta be great, baby. Yeah. Okay. Remember this teaser image Prime Video released last year to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Fallout franchise, which was our first glimpse at the upcoming live-action series. The tweet read, "Congratulations and happy 25th birthday. We made something special for the occasion." Something special being a live-action adaptation of the Fallout franchise coming to the Amazon streaming service. Now, we see in the image a couple of Vault dwellers wearing the iconic Vault 33 jumpsuits. As we inch ever so closer to the show's release window, we now know exactly when to expect it to hit Prime Video. April 12th, 2024. Now, this was revealed via Pip-Boy in another Twitter post from the Fallout Prime Video account. Now, this is the first public video pertaining to the series, which is more of just a teaser of the release date than anything else. Now, earlier this year, Todd Howard gave Gamescom 2023 attendees a very nice surprise when he dropped a teaser for the series. Now, in it, there was a glimpse of the Brotherhood of Steel, the iconic power-armored faction that's popped up in every single game in the franchise in some form or fashion. Now, the trailer also featured plenty of other familiar Fallout imagery, like nuclear explosions, a vault opening, and Walton Goggins as a ghoul. Now, in the game, these are people who lost their flesh due to the titular nuclear radiation. Now, while many of them behave like mindless zombies, there are a fair amount who behave like normal, albeit horribly disfigured people. Now, we're guessing Goggins is one of the latter. As of the recording of this video, the teaser hasn't been released publicly, but for those in attendance at this year's Gamescom, it was apparently a sight to behold. Now, the visual effects and production quality were reportedly impressive, telling us that Prime Video is putting some major money behind this particular project. And with Westworld showrunners Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan helming the series, this has potential to be the next big game adaptation of the year. Of next year, yes. Now, as for where the show takes place, Prime Video tweeted out this image that pinpoints it as Vault 33 in Los Angeles. Now, as for the story, Todd Howard confirmed last year that it'll be different from any existing lore from the games. Now, he went on the Lex Friedman podcast and had this to say about the show's story.
Approaching it was very different, where when it was, people would say want to make a movie, they wanted to, tell the story of Fallout 3 or then tell the story of Fallout 4. And for this, it was, hey, let's do something that exists in the world of Fallout. It's not retelling a game story. It's basically, an area of the map, and let's tell a story here that fits in the world that we have built, doesn't break any of the rules, can reference things in the games, but isn't a retelling of the games. It exists in the same world, but is its own unique thing. So it adds to it, while also people who haven't played the games, who can't experience how crazy cool Fallout is, can watch the series. And so
that's honestly a good thing, as the world of Fallout is massive, and it'd be nice to see a part of the universe that hasn't already been explored in the video games. Now, luckily, we don't have to wait too long for that. Again, Fallout hits Prime Video on April 12th of next year. And in other news, Paddington is headed to Peru in the aptly named Paddington in Peru. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Anyways, slated to hit UK theaters November 8th, 2024, with a January 17th, 2025 release date here in the US, the Marmalade enthusiast is ready for his third outing with the Brown family. Yeah, this is crazy. This time, they'll be traveling through the Amazon rainforest, traversing the mountains of Peru to visit his retired Aunt Lucy. This is ridiculous. Now, Puss in Boots Antonio Banderas is making his Paddington debut as a sexy riverboat captain. Now, he'll be helping the oddly dressed bear navigate the Peruvian waters as they make their way towards the home for retired bears. This is a real movie. If you wonder why we're covering a Paddington sequel, you obviously haven't seen the first two movies. They're so good that it's acknowledged by other films. Check this out.
Can you just stop stalling and answer the question? What is your third favorite movie of all time?
Paddington 2.
What? Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Paddington 2, connect those dots. I mean, I don't want to be a snob, but...
I cried through the entire thing. It made me want to be a better man.
Bullshit, Mom! Paddington 2 is incredible.
It's crazy, man. It made Nicolas Cage cry. That's crazy. Anyways, look out for Paddington 3 next year in the UK and early 2025 here in the US. And finally, from one country to another, The Rock's got some beef with the museum in Paris, and rightfully so. The Musée Grévin, whose name I'm probably butchering, did some butchering of their very own when creating this wax figure of the People's Champ, making him look like some muscular albino in golfing attire. and also making him look like he's gone through some sort of weird melanin removal surgery. Kind of weird to whitewash my mans, but after reposting the Circle's James Jefferson Jr.'s reaction, The Rock stated how he's going to have his team reach out to the museum in Paris on updating the wax figure to better represent the people's champ. Now, The Rock's got some ideas on how to improve the wax figure with a few important details, starting with the skin color. But what do y'all think? Does it look like The Rock? And before you drop a comment answering that very question, it doesn't matter if you think it looks like The Rock or not. The only opinion that truly matters is The Rock's own. But if you smell what they were cooking up there in Paris, and you don't like it, well, sound off down below.
All right, I'm Seth Macy. That was your Weekly Fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news. Have a happy and spooky Halloween. Be careful out there. Things are getting ghoulish.